Oren, Peli, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
It is so good to talk with you once again.
Good to be back here.
I have to tell you, I had the chance to see Chernobyl Diaries, and I just absolutely loved it. You have this formula, and it works.
Thank you very much. I definitely try to kind of capture what I like about horror movies, which is sort of like the slow burn and the slow build-up. And I'm not so much really into the slasher films that rely on gore. There's a little bit of gore in Chernobyl Diaries, but that's not really what it's about. So I'm glad to hear that you're responding to it.
The found footage the formula that you use in your films and on TV, is that something that you will always continue to do?
Well, I think it really depends on the specific project. For example, in Chernobyl Diaries, originally we thought for a moment that maybe it would make sense to do it as found footage, but the more we developed the plot, it just didn't make sense anymore, so we decided we're going to drop the found footage style, but we still wanted to keep it feeling very sort of like realistic and authentic, so we instructed our actors, and we cast actors that can do that, to improvise a lot. So we wanted, our philosophy was, we're not really shooting a horror movie, we're shooting a documentary where horrible things happen to people. And so it's like you're not really watching actors reading lines, you're just going on the journey with this group of people that, hopefully act and feel and sound as if they're, just your friends or people that you know, so that you can really think, what would I do if I was in that kind of situation, and make it kind of more relatable.
So what do you have to say to those people who are saying that this is another Paranormal Activity movie?
Well, I do think there are some parallels to Paranormal Activity. I think in the way it's shot, even though it's not found footage, there is a lot of things about it that make it different from the typical horror movie. The way it's shot, the way the actors improvise their dialogue. So I think that may feel familiar. Also in the way that a lot of the scares are built. I'm more into kind of, the anticipation for the scare. The theory that, waiting for the shot at the dentist is worse than the shot itself. So a lot of that is actually, similar in the Chernobyl Diaries. However, as far as the setting and a lot of the elements of the story, it's very different from Paranormal Activity. Paranormal Activity takes place in your own home, which a lot of people found, very scary, that the one place where you're supposed to be safe has now become, the most dangerous place, and you can't even be safe in your own home, in your own bed, and you don't know what's happening, at night when you're asleep. Here in Chernobyl Diaries, you're in the exact opposite. You're in a foreign location, you're in a different country, different culture, different language, and on top of that, you're in one of the most desolate, bizarre, abandoned, eerie places on Earth.
Did you film this where that happened? Like, is there some sort of realistic feel to this?
We actually wanted to visit and we wanted to film much of the movie in Pripyat. And they just, for whatever reason, in 2011, the Ukrainian government stopped allowing people to go on these tours, and they weren't letting anyone in. So we couldn't go there.
So that part is true, because in the movie, I'm not giving anything away, people, they aren't able to get in. So that's true.
Yeah, that's actually a weird and ironic parallel that we have between the movie and real life. We were even, kind of kidding, maybe we can find a way to sneak into Pripyat to film there, but I figured that's probably not a good idea.
I think that this would have been even better if the guys were shirtless.
Well, maybe if there's a sequel, we'll consider that.
Now, will there be another paranormal? I know that we talked to you about this on the Roz and Mocha show. Are we any closer to that?
Well, the only thing I can say is that there will be a Paranormal Activity 4, and it will be released on October 19th, but other than that, I can't give you any more information.
What other information can you give me on that?
Just about none.
So I was reading online, and I want to ask you about this, because first of all, I don't know what sensationalism even means. So that's a word I had to even look up. Today I learned a new word.
Okay.
People are upset at you because of the the word I can't say, about Chernobyl Diaries and what it does for the actual Chernobylists.
Okay. Well,
did that make sense?
I know exactly what you're talking about. There is a very, very small but vocal group of people online that are, they've decided that they're offended about the movie even though they haven't actually seen it. So, it wasn't our intention to really offend anyone, and we're not trying to be insensitive. We just made a horror movie, and no one's supposed to take it too seriously. But the one thing that we'll say is that, if you really want to be offended about it, at least watch it so you know what you're offended about. And And we did have one charity group, the Chabad Children of Chernobyl, and everyone there, the board of directors, watched the entire movie, and they praised us. They said, they were impressed by how faithfully we recreated the setting, and they didn't find it offensive at all. And their point was that by actually bringing the subject up and reminding people about Chernobyl, that's actually a positive thing. So if anyone really is concerned about the matter of Chernobyl, which is almost like a forgotten tragedy, and a lot of people who've been, the younger generation are not familiar with it, they should in fact embrace it and use the opportunity to educate people.
That's a great point, because until you see something, you can't criticize it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, just to note, is that, they're accusing us of sensationalism, and the way they go about it is by issuing a press release to TMZ, of all places. I mean, come on.
Pop quiz for you, Oren Peli of Chernobyl Diaries. Spell Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
Very good, because I thought it was spelled wrong on the poster.
Oh, it's actually, I could type it, better than I can spell it.
And I want to talk to you about The River, which, by the way, I loved. It was one of my absolute favorite shows. I've interviewed half the cast. When you're talking about cancellations of shows, and one of the things I was looking forward to asking you is, first of all, it's horrible that happened. How does that happen? Are you told before anyone else in the world is told? What's the process of something like that?
Well, it wasn't a huge shock, because we could tell, that the ratings just weren't holding up. We had a very passionate group of fans, but the movie just didn't really penetrate into the kind of mainstream America at the level that we needed. So we could tell by the ratings that, the future of the show is in question. So after the season ended, we're looking at a few alternatives and trying to see if there's a way that it can make sense to take it to a different network or Netflix, and we just couldn't figure out the financials of that. So it wasn't so abrupt, but it was kind of like a long process, so we were prepared for it.
No, but did they tell you before it's released on Twitter and stuff, before the public knows? Do they call you in, or do they send you an email? How does that happen?
Oh yeah, of course. We were part of many conversations that we had with the other producers and the studio, so we knew well in advance.
Okay, so, and for Chernobyl Diaries, which is awesome, by the way, why should people go and check this out?
Well, I think anyone who likes horror movies, and especially if you want to see a horror movie that we feel like is different and unique and unlike any other horror movies, if you like to get scared and creeped out, then hopefully Chernobyl Diaries is the kind of movie that you'll enjoy.
Spell Chernobyl again.
Chernobyl.
I had to look. So good to chat with you once again. You're always welcome on our station and our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great to be here again.